Hello Canada, welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. We have a fair amount to go over here today. Plane crashed in Lake Ontario. Lady passes away from breast cancer because the social medical system failed her and only found out once she went to private Medicare. We're going to deal with Carney and some of the bogus coming out of him. This man scares me. And the auto sector, you've been warned. I warned you on previous episodes. I urge everybody to, especially all my subscribers, any new viewers, to go through and check out. I expose this. The auto sector, anybody in the auto sector who voted Liberal, or those who thought they were protecting the auto sector and voted Liberal, you guys have just crucified that sector. We're going to deal on that as well. We're going to give Mo's entire argument in question period in the Saskatchewan legislature. People are pulling clips off of that. Sorry, just the facts on this channel. And we're going to dabble on a few other things. Let's get started with the plane crash.
We continue to track breaking news. A small private plane has crashed near the Leslie Street Spit. We're getting more details from officials as well as eyewitness accounts. And these images here first from our City News chopper hovering over the scene near Tommy Thompson Park. An eyewitness telling us that they did see a parachute that's red and white. And in these images here, you can see what looks like a parachute just under the cold waters of Lake Ontario. So this happening just before 2:30 this afternoon. Police tell us a man in his 40s was rescued and has non-life-threatening injuries. The Transit Safety Board confirms he was the lone occupant of the aircraft, adding that the plane had taken off from Billy Bishop Airport and was on its way to Petawawa, but attempted to return shortly after takeoff. It fell short of the runway and collided with the water. We are also hearing from eyewitnesses this afternoon who say the plane quickly barreled into the water below. Take a listen.
Now, there's footage coming out about this. There's none that I have access to right now. Depending on how the episodes go here tomorrow, I may put some of that footage in there. We're seeing more and more of it coming out. But the pilot, it sounds like, survived. There isn't any further proof on if there was any other passengers. It sounds like he was alone. Let's just hope for the best that there's no fatalities. Now, digging a little bit further here, this poor lady dies at 32 after being told she was too young for breast cancer. We're going to go to the article here. This is so sad. I know personally people that have had this happen to them because of our socialist Medicare. It's in such disarray. It's horrible. This is why, like, Daniel Smith is leading the way to giving Alberta the best. They already have the best medical system in Canada. She's gone around the world and talked to doctors and governments on their systems and is rebuilding Alberta's to match the best medical setups in the world. She is so far ahead of everybody. It's crazy. She's over the hill on the other side. Don't let mainstream tell you that this whole, oh, she's getting rid of our social Medicare. No, she's not. She's not getting rid of that. That's lies. That's propaganda. That's why I need you to like, share, and subscribe. The mainstream, we got to end mainstream, and we're going to dabble on that here in a bit. First, I'll read you some of this out. This is very sad. A Montreal woman who was told by healthcare professionals that she was too young for breast cancer, but later diagnosed with it, has died from the disease. Valerie Buchanan was 32 when she died at the end of February. I keep asking myself why anyone, but selfishly why her, Chris Sheepers, Buchanan's husband, told CTV News in a telephone interview, she was a beautiful person. She was extremely driven, talented, and positive. What really breaks me is our son won't know the truly remarkable woman she was. Throughout 2020, Buchanan sought answers for a lump in her chest, but had said she was reassured by multiple healthcare professionals in Ottawa and Montreal that it was a benign cyst, without sending her for imaging to confirm. After 13 months, Buchanan eventually went to a private clinic and was diagnosed with stage 3 triple-negative breast cancer, a biologically aggressive subtype of breast cancer. Just a few months later, she learned it was stage 4. This is incredibly sad. The kicker is, you want to hear how strong she is? She was. In the last 4 years, amidst multiple surgeries, breast, chest, and brain, along with multiple rounds of radiation and chemotherapy, she traveled, she advanced her interior design business, got married, and had a son. What a remarkable woman. What a true loss of an incredible Canadian. You can thank your socialist Medicare system, the ignorance and just deceitfulness of mainstream for trying to scare people into having a dual system. I urge you to follow Dr. Day. Look him up. I will probably be discussing him in future episodes. He's a remarkable doctor who's been trying to wake Canada up and has just been either completely ignored by mainstream or hacked to death for no reason at all for speaking truth. Moving on, this is a little bit of an older article as well. The Democracy Fund sees Crown drop all quarantine charges against the Amish. The Democracy Fund achieved a significant legal victory for a group of Amish families in Grey County, Ontario, when the Crown withdrew all Quarantine Act tickets against them in February 24th. This case centered on fines imposed under the Quarantine Act during the COVID-19 pandemic. The fines primarily resulted from a non-compliance with the Arrive Scam app and PCR testing, measures that the Amish community, due to their religious beliefs, could not comply with. Now, they put liens on their land. If you can imagine, they put liens on their land. Okay, so they don't use technology. So how are they going to use a phone? This is just another way that the Liberal government is trying to completely remove religion out of Canada. I've talked about this. I tried to get awareness of this in previous episodes. They have removed funding from anybody who's pro-life. If you don't follow their ideology, they will squish, quash, remove, and crush any debate on it. Now, Don Plett, who just retired, had a great speech on this, which I will be posting in a future episode. He's one of the greatest senators we ever had. And his emotional speech on how the Trudeau and all of the Liberals that are re-voted in power today, thanks to mainstream, have gone after religion. They are going to tax your churches, people. If you are pro-life, they are going to remove your non-charity status. This is a fact. The bill has been, thank God, voted out a couple times, but they will try again. This is how fascist governments work. Remove religion. They don't want a diverse spectrum of debate. They don't want it. That's like the whole, you get into the trans movement. You have people who have gone through with it that are happy. You have people who have gone through with it that realized it was a mistake. But guess what? You can't have it reversed because the government says that is illegal. This type of ideology is not only ignorant, it's completely undemocratic. We need freedom. If you want to, go ahead. You can't be stopped from saying you made a mistake and then changing. They shut down the entire debate. This is the ignorance. This is the ideology of a fascist government that we just re-elected in Canada. My God. Unbelievable. So today, this guy scares the shit out of me. Prime Minister Mark Carney issued the following statement on World Press Freedom Day. In this time of crisis, we must protect what it means to be Canadian, a strong, independent, and free press. Both defines and defends our values. My new government will protect reliable Canadian public forums so we can tell our own stories in our own languages. This is once again why he is aligning himself with the EU. He wants to enact these censorship laws. Central to this work is strengthening our public broadcaster, CBC Radio Canada, which has stitched this nation together. No, it hasn't. It's ripped us apart. Reporting from Corner Brooks, blah, 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 blah. My new government will also protect and fund more local news, including those with Indigenous perspectives. So in other words, anybody who agrees with his ideology, which is what we're seeing today. In a sea of foreign media and disinformation, we need Canadian voices more than ever. This man is full of lies. He's Trudeau 2.0. Now here is a great article. If you don't know who the Western Standard is, look them up. Support them. This is a great outlet. The train of authoritarianism is barreling down the political tracks. Smith must act. I have been saying this for a long time. Saskatchewan and Alberta needs to put in legislation to ban any state media. Period. Cut and dry. Remove it. Ban it. If they give up their state money, then they can run media. We have to remove any type of pro-funded, pro-government media. It's got to go. Look at what it's doing to our nation. Look at what it's done for generations. And look at all the lies. Previous episodes and a lot of other independent media prove this on a daily basis. These people lie, twist, or ignore. I seen this years ago with the protests against the Wall Street bailout. There were millions of people all over North America, including here in Canada. I was one of them. We were protesting against it. Hundreds of thousands of people across Canada camped out, all over, like from coast to coast. Not a single report in mainstream media. The freight train of authoritarianism and censorship under the Carney Liberals is barreling down the political tracks, and it's far more serious than Alberta's discontent within Confederation or a possible sovereignty referendum. It's highly likely Prime Minister Mark Carney will resurrect the Federal Online Harms Act, Bill C-63. He will. A terrifying piece of legislation that will drive Canada toward the UK's dystopia. Like I said, he's realigning himself with the UK and their completely ruined nation. A terrifying piece of legislation that will drive, blah, 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 where thousands have been arrested for offensive speech violations, primarily on social media. The bill did not pass in the House of Commons. It was introduced February 26, 2024, and completed its first reading, but stalled at the second reading stage. It died on the order paper when Parliament was prorogued on January 6, 2025, and it will resurface. Alberta Premier Daniel Smith should act now to protect Albertans. Read the whole article. It's very well written. It is true. We have to stop state-funded media, especially putting it into legislation. This is right out of the Nazi playbook. This is fascism 101. Here's a great example of how Mark Carney and the normal liberals, the same liberals that have been in power for the last 10 years, treats real media.
Mr. Carney, why have you not spoken about the 100% tariff from China on canola? Why have you not spoken about that yet? Premier Daniel Smith warned of a national united crisis if Alberta concerns are not being addressed.
Now, anybody out there, especially if you're new to the channel and you watch this propaganda television, are you aware of the 100% tariffs? Do they talk about it? Are you aware that those tariffs affect 7 times the amount of Canadian revenue than what the auto sector is suffering under a measly 25%? That really only affects a small margin of the auto sector? No. This is what they run on because they want that little 3% of geographics in Canada, that little wee spot on our entire nation to control everybody. We have to change the electoral system. We got to change the Senate system. It has to be changed. It has to be changed. And we have to start by banning any state-funded media. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Are you going to take our demand seriously, Mr. Carney? Mr. Carney, do you believe that using tax haven is ethical?
Now look at all the state-funded media, how nice and close they get to ask their softball questions. Nothing about Saskatchewan and Alberta. I'm surprised Atlantic Canada and BC voted in favor of the Liberals. Their fishing industry is getting crushed under these Chinese tariffs for an EV car that doesn't even exist in Canada, and they're failing. But don't worry, the government's going to prop that up, like I said earlier, and goodbye auto industry. How come she's not allowed to ask serious questions? Why is he mocking her with that dirty, that little poop grin he's got on there? The burns, right off the Simpsons grin. This man is evil.
Mr. Carney? No, I have the right to be here. I'm sorry, but... Why are you calling police on independent journalists, Mr. Carney? Do you believe on freedom of the press? You remember in Davos, you condemned the arrest of my colleague David Menzies by your colleague Chrystia Freeland. And now you're calling the police to block us access, Mr. Carney. Can you stop?
You're too close now. You need to go that way.
Mr. Carney.
State-funded media is allowed to be there, but not independent, not real news. This is a vote that was done. 29.7% believe Trump interference changed the election. 14.9% said it was the collapse of the NDP. 45.5% said it was MSM biased coverage, and 9.9% said campaign platform and issues. 85% of conservatives say mainstream media was the largest effect. It's like 20% of the liberals. And it just so happens that 90-some% of liberals and NDPs want legislation put in to protect the CBC. These people, they need to be aware of the lies, and the only way you can do it is by like, sharing, and subscribing, and not just me, all other independent media who are trying to put the truth out there. Sorry, just the facts. What a sad world we live in. Now to the auto sector.
General Motors is cutting shifts at its Oshawa assembly plant starting this fall. More than 700 employees will be affected. Dale Manukduk is following the developing story for us now. Dale, what do we know so far?
Yeah, Dwight, GM confirms that it is making this change, moving from a 3-shift operation to a 2-shift operation here at the assembly plant in Oshawa. Here, there's 3,000 employees. We're told by the union that 750 of them will lose their jobs this fall. It's unclear what the specific date is, but it is clear that this is a result of the trade war launched by U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, in addition to those 750 jobs, Dwight, we're also told by the union that 1,500 uniform members who work across the automotive parts supply chain could also lose their jobs. Have a listen.
It is a very emotional day here in Oshawa. We are devastated with this decision by General Motors. We feel it's completely unjust because we have a truck that's built with high quality productivity here by our membership. The sales do not support losing a 3rd shift. We know some of our volumes are being moved to the United States, and that's being done directly in accordance with Donald Trump and his disastrous tariff policies.
Now, I'm just going to put the truth out there, and I urge you, especially if you're a new subscriber, new viewer, to check my previous episodes. I exposed this a long time ago. The CEOs, and I even have one saying pretty much exactly, I'm just going to break it down into layman's terms. Now that you voted the Liberals in power, these manufacturing companies of combustion engines have no business model to be here in Canada. They are going to move all of the combustion vehicles south. Why would you put money in or even promote building combustion engines if the government you just elected is going to put a mandate in banning them? And by the way, Carney is going to speed it up. It's not going to be 2035, it's going to be 2030. You voted against the auto sector if you voted Liberal. These companies have been warning about this. There's been whispers. The unions down in the States, the second they heard about this, were laughing because they knew this was only going to benefit them and give them jobs if they got the right government, which is why 95% of all the unions down in the States involved in the auto sector voted for Trump. This has nothing to do with the tariffs, people. This is called good business. Would anybody producing combustion engines in Canada right now be putting more money into it? No. You go to the place that's going to help you, that's going to lower the energy costs, that's going to lower regulations and allow you to flourish and build bigger and sell more combustion engines. Canada has done the opposite. There will be 90% less jobs in the new factories producing electric cars than there are in the car plants that produce combustion engines. Previous episodes. If your union person told you that you should vote Liberal, make sure you vote that person out. And you shouldn't have listened to him in the first place. But I'm glad independent media is growing, although we are in a very, very hard situation because we're going to all be censored here right away. They're going to start coming after us. They're going to use bills like they put in the UK, and they're going to call what I'm saying right now hate speech for just telling you the truth. CEOs have come out and already spoke of this. I have one on that episode. It only makes sense. You don't even need to you don't even need to check the episode in order for you to sit back and realize, holy shit, yeah, that makes total sense. Of course it makes sense. If you're going to ban combustion engines, why are they producing them here? Why do they want to put money in? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We're going to play a little bit of Mark Carney. This guy, he's definitely Burns off The Simpsons. This is one very evil man.
We will begin to set out that new path for Canada with a new cabinet to be sworn in on the week of the 12th of May and the recall of Parliament on May 26th. We will have the privilege...
Isn't it nice? How long has it been? That'll be like over 9 months without Parliament, and you're paying all of their wages. Parliament shut down. SDTC scandal will be wiped away. Billions of dollars that are unfound that we needed investigations for will be swept under the rug. This is disgusting. Whereas the Conservatives, Poilievre told all of his guys and girls, hey, sell all of your summer stuff. Toss all the holidays. We're going to go straight to work. We're going to work right through the summer. Instead, you got these idiots. What a sad state of affair Canada voted for.
...of welcoming His Majesty King Charles III, who will deliver Canada's speech from the throne on May 27th. Her Majesty the Queen will join this visit.
So he's doing this, and the media is making it out as though it's in order to show Trump what a sovereign nation we are, while he reintroduces us back to the colonial times that Canada's tried for generations to sever. Hey, Quebec, hello, you voted for this guy. Absolutely disgusting. I'm going to clip ahead a little wee bit further.
Today I want to speak to the immediate priorities of my government, beginning with our relationship with the United States. As I've stressed repeatedly, our old relationship, based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The questions now are how our nations will cooperate in the future and where we in Canada will move on. Peu après le début.
So he wants us to be part of the EU, a failing system, a system that was set up purposely to try to remove the greenback from power, to try and squash the United States. They bet against American markets. The exact opposite than what Trump is trying to do, in which we should actually be doing, which is unifying with the United States, our largest trading partner. Every single step, every single thing about this Liberal Party screams socialism. This is scary. The fact that he's saying this and people voted for this, you got your elbows up, but guess what? You got your head in the sand. It's really sad. This type of statement is just disgusting, and it goes to show he does not care about Canadians. He doesn't care. I'm going to clip ahead a little wee bit further.
How do you avoid an Oval Office ambush like we saw happen to President Zelensky?
Look, I go there with with the expectation of constructive, difficult, but constructive discussions. That's the spirit of the conversations that the President and I had. You go to these meetings well prepared, understanding the objectives of your counterpart, and always acting in the best interest of Canada, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Melanie Marquis.
Now, I actually don't think this is gonna end up. He's in cahoots with the Trump administration. There's other great media outlets as well as myself who've reported on this. He's linked to Kushner. Look at his company. Look at Brookfield, the purchases of pipelines. It's in his best interest to shut Canada down. So Trump ain't going to argue with him or embarrass him. Trump wanted him in office. He said so. Previous episodes. He said so. This is Trump's buddy. They have a lot of the same thinking. And the things they argue about only help America and hurt Canada. We are in big trouble. Let's hope this minority government falls. I can't wait for his actual bank statements and the reality of his investments to come out. Mainstream won't talk about it. This is why I urge you to like, share, and subscribe. And if you are, punch the notification bell, because as more and more of this becomes exposed, which I've already exposed previous episodes, I blew some wicked stories open on this. It'll help, hopefully, get more people to see the reality of who this person is. This person is not Canadian. He does not care. Just like the Liberals. They're all the same. 10 years completely gone by with nothing but destruction in their wake. And they're re-elected back into power. This is sad. And for all of those Liberals out there saying, oh, you don't vote for your Prime Minister. We live in a Westminster system. Really, then why is it that when you switch the leader out, not a single Liberal candidate did any television? Except for maybe one or two new ones. Because they're hiding that. They want Canada to do what it always does, which is vote for a leader. So the whole Westminster is proven as a fraud. It's a joke. Our system is so backwards and so archaic. Others have already changed their senates. They've already changed rules. They've got with the times. They realized how, horribly designed the Westminster system is. And then there's Canada inviting the king. Yep. I'm gonna go a little wee bit further. One more small little clip.
Missy, I made, to be clear, I made the request of His Majesty, and he has accepted. He will open Parliament with the speech from the throne, and that is a clear. It clearly underscores the sovereignty of our country.
In what way, though? En quelle façon ça souligne la souveraineté de demander au monarque de l'autre pays?
C'est la troisième question, ou c'est quoi?
Yeah, but my question was cut off. You can answer.
Okay, yeah. In what way? It underscores this is the ultimate head of state, which
the ultimate head of state.
Points I made. I'll answer it this way. Quand
he's in French. I'll tell you what he's saying. When I became Prime Minister for the first time, I mentioned to her the founding peoples of Canada, Indigenous peoples, and the French and the English peoples. So this gives us the foundation of our nation, the Canadian nation.
All right. We've heard Mr. Trump on April 23rd and his surrogates throughout the final day.
This is the exact opposite of what Canada wants. Hello, Quebec. Hello. Are you home? You voted for this guy. You voted for this party. What sovereignty do we have? He literally confirmed it right there. Wouldn't it be nice if mainstream actually told the truth? Scary.
Or insinuated at any point that Canada should become the 51st state.
He did not.
Now, do you trust him? Do you? After we've already exposed that the first phone call he lied about, and they ran their platform on a whole bed of lies? I really do hope that when he goes down there, we do get the Oval Office like he did to Zelensky. But I don't think it's going to happen. Now, they're running clips, little wee clips of Mo. I'm going to show you the full extent. I'm going to give you the questions and the answers so you get to see it for yourself. Mo is slowly trying to give Saskatchewan a more independent and more sovereignty within. He's doing the exact same thing, and his words echo what Daniel Smith has been doing. The problem is the NDP. They've been holding him back. Not only have they been holding him back, Saskatchewan, by allowing the NDP to always have that very tactical advantage thanks to state-funded media, that Saskatchewan can't afford to split a vote in any way, or will end up with a NDP minority or majority government. So everything that his government, that Mo's government can do, is a lot slower. Now I'm going to listen. This is the entirety of the back and forth. It's important people see the truth. Sorry, just the facts.
I'm a proud Canadian, and Canada will never be the 51st state. Saskatchewan is an incredibly important part of this country, and Mr. Speaker, that should never change. Today I say clearly to those who seek to divide and break our country that they're wrong. And I tell those who are in positions of power, who are stoking the flames of separatism, that they should be ashamed of themselves. With all of that in mind, Mr. Speaker, to the Premier I ask this: will he stand in this House today and condemn all of those who are using their positions of influence to break up this beautiful country?
I recognize the Premier.
I would say all of the suggestions, conversation around separation on the floor of this Assembly is coming from the members opposite, Mr. Speaker.
Exactly. Right.
Mr. Speaker, there is this straw man argument really that is being put forward, Mr. Speaker, that it's either the status quo or separation. Well, the government of Saskatchewan is not interested in separation, and the government of Saskatchewan certainly isn't interested in the status quo either, Mr. Speaker. Status quo where our province is being treated unfairly by a federal government for close to a decade now, supported every step of the way by the NDP, Mr. Speaker, and what we saw in this most recent federal election was 65% of Saskatchewan people didn't vote for that status quo either, Mr. Speaker. But it is not a straw man argument where it's status quo or separation. We don't like either of those. We think there is an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, and we truly believe and always have believed there is a right to the founding principles of this party, that there is an opportunity for Saskatchewan to continue to grow and prosper in its economy, to grow its population, grow our communities, reinvest back into those communities, all within a strong, united nation of Canada.
I recognize the Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I do not support the status quo, but I cannot support so-called leaders who can't find the courage to...
She does support the status quo. This is a fascist party. And if you know how the NDP system works, all the provincial parties are intertwined in the federal party. Everything that Jagmeet does is done through the entirety of the party. All of the beliefs, all of the ideals, all of the socialist push, all of the ignorance, all of the greed. She doesn't care about Canada. Just like the Liberals. They don't care.
To condemn those who are trying to break up our country. Mr. Speaker, the Premier can't do it. He'd rather play politics and pander to his base, pander to separatist sentiments. Mr. Speaker, that is shameful. And it's shameful that Danielle Smith's friends in Alberta are currently gathering signatures on a referendum to break up our country. Mr. Speaker, that is wrong, it's serious, and it's something that should be shot down clearly and immediately. It's bad for jobs, it's bad for investment, and it is bad for the future. Will the Premier tell the people of this province today clearly, will he clearly tell people in this province that he will never initiate a vote on Saskatchewan leaving Canada?
I recognize the Premier.
Plebiscites. They're there for people to have a voice. Mr. Speaker, I think what the Leader of the opposition may be referring to is Alberta people are gathering signatures, Mr. Speaker, to have their voice heard. I don't know what that number is or who is even doing it, but I can assure you that it's not the government of Alberta doing it, nor is it the government of anywhere when people are coming together to have their voice heard, of which the NDP is now committed to shutting down the voices that people have through legislative ability, Mr. Speaker. Through legislative ability, and in fact in Saskatchewan, our plebiscite legislation was last changed in 1996 under an NDP government, Mr. Speaker. That legislation is there for a reason, for the people of this province to have a voice, Mr. Speaker. That a voice that the NDP would take away. But again, I say, Mr. Speaker, it is the position of the government that this is not a two-option argument, Mr. Speaker. It is not the status quo or separation. Saskatchewan today, policies matter so very much. Saskatchewan today, Mr. Speaker, has over double the national rate of GDP growth in this province, due to policy decisions that have been made by this government, not just this year, but over the last decade and a half. Policies matter, Mr. Speaker, and this is a government that is always going to provide the people of Saskatchewan with a voice at election time or any time they choose.
And now Mo has stepped up to the plate. For those of you who are not aware, he is working on a provincial force, police force. This has happened 7 or 8 days ago. And this is what we need to do. Now, you cannot secede tomorrow. It won't happen. There are many changes that we have to make. They have to be done in steps. So the people need to ensure they back the government when they make decisions like creating the Provincial Marshal's Service. We can not only save millions of dollars, we can remove the RCMP, which is a Federalist, which has been proven time and time again, arm of the government. This strengthens our province, gives more jobs, more wealth, more independence. And another thing that has to be done is we need to remove all of the federal pension systems. We need a provincial pension, which would pay huge differences than what the pension from the federal government gives today. Saskatchewan has grown exponentially under this government. Media tries to make it look bad because they would rather see Liberals and NDP in there. They prefer the socialist system. But the federal government, through bills like C-69, has made our own investment within our province weaker, while they've taken the pensions and they've invested them in pipelines in places like Saudi Arabia. Do you really want to support blood oil? Another 4 years of these Liberals will completely crush our economies. There will be no way for us to create our own pension systems. This is backdoor politics. This is fascist politics. They do it through legislation. This is why everything has to be done in steps. Sad to say it, if you're not a Sask Party supporter, The only way to really pressure and create change is to become a member so you have a voice within that party. Now, don't, everybody's out there, oh, we're going to petition Mo. You can, it's 15%. I'll deal with that in a future episode. What you do have to be doing is making sure you congratulate the government and tell them you want more of this.
Their oath today, being sworn in to serve the province. Jasmine Peltier now on when the first boots will hit the ground and where it's hoped the new officers can make a difference.
To the best of my ability and knowledge.
To the best of my ability and knowledge.
The Saskatchewan Marshal Service swore in its first graduating class in Prince Albert, where the service is headquartered.
One unique thing that we have, apart from the other police services that we all worked at, is we have the ability to set the tone, right? We can set the expectations for what we want the organization to be.
There's a lot of very strong morale. There's a lot of excitement about getting to do their work and getting out there and making a difference.
The 9 graduates still have additional training, and Chief Marshal Robert Cameron says the service will have boots on the ground by June.
They're in a second phase of training right now, and I liken it to almost like a hockey team. They have to do some practice first to kind of get to know each other and to get used to each other, and then figure out how they're going to do business.
It certainly helps that they're setting up shop right in our backyard, and we're currently in negotiations and working through different types of agreements so that we have a good working relationship moving forward.
The Prince Albert Police Service says it hopes the marshals will alleviate some challenges facing the Prince Albert Police.
Whether it's helping us with warrant execution, whether it's some more in-depth types of investigations involving drugs and guns and gangs, all those things are on the table, and we're exploring those options as we speak.
The Marshal Service aims to have 70 officers by the end of the year and says it will set up an office in North Battleford this fall. The Marshal Service says it has received interest from across the country, and a recruit class will begin in July.
This is a very big step that needs to be done in order for Saskatchewan to have the ability to separate from Canada. I urge all of you out there not only to like, share, and subscribe, but to share this out to help promote it and to make sure that you stop this idea that we're just going, Sask in Alberta is just going to leave tomorrow. I'm going to do more episodes on this whole secession thing. There are so many steps that need to be done. We will deal with that. This is a very big step. 70 officers by the end of the year is huge. There's over 1,100 RCMP. So we need to do this fast. The more you promote it, the more you support it, and the more you get the word out for people who aren't aware of not only the amount of, we're talking millions of dollars this is going to save us taxpayers, the better service it is going to give us, because we will have local, permanent marshals. This is one step to slowly changing the federalist system within the provinces. This is a big step. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We got lots more we'll be covering here, especially with all of this information coming out and a lot of the leaders of APP talking and getting a voice thanks to independent media. There's been some great interviews. We'll definitely be cutting some. I'll be giving you the links to them. And hopefully we can see real change in the West and just stop with this socialist idea. I mean, the fact that the Senate seats haven't changed in how many years? Atlantic Canada has 55% more representation than Saskatchewan and Alberta. This is disgusting. This is things they don't want to change. And they can't change, because even if you vote a conservative leader in, guess what? He has to appease to that 3% geographic area that control the 97% of Canada. It'll never change, ever, unless Alberta and Saskatchewan, and hopefully, because BC sounds like they're rising up as well, we'll be talking about that in a future episode, they want out as well, especially the northern areas with a lot of the natives up there, because they see the potential of what the resource sector will give them. And like I mentioned on a previous episode, they see how this will better the treaties by being able to renegotiate it and remove all the federal laws stopping them from reinvigorating their culture, which needs to be done in order for true reconciliation and for us to be equal, for us to survive, thrive, and last in the future. I hope you liked the episode. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you are, punch that notification bell so you don't miss any future episodes. Until next time, I'm Alias Tagay. You've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. Stay informed.